Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a while. I had a project to do and that's what took most of my time, but I'm back now. So let's continue where we left off. All right, so what we want to do is make notifications for this particular website so that we can see when somebody likes or comments on our post. And then after that, we can deal with the admin section because that does not exist, but we can easily create that. So this is a project that we started much earlier. So just check the link in the description for the other parts to this particular project. Okay, so in order to make notifications, the first thing, obviously, we need a link to that notifications page, and we need a badge so that we can see when there's a notification there. And we're going to, since we're using Bootstrap here, we're going to go to the Bootstrap website and look at, among components here, we'll look at the badge. And we want this particular one here. And this is how it looks like. Okay, so let's see how we can have that done. All right, so we need to go to the header and put a notifications link there. So in our project here, we want to go to app, okay? And since this is a view, we go to views and we're going to go to the includes because the header is in there. All right, so when we come down here, we'll look at notifications. And of course, notifications are something that show up only when we are logged in, so we have to add it as part of this list here. Let's see, this one is for the hi user blah blah blah. Okay, so what we're going to do is let me duplicate this link here and let's change that to notifications. All right, so now to make sure that it only shows when we are logged in, we have to move this part up like so. So in moving a line, I press Ctrl Shift and then use the arrow key up or down to move it. This is for Sublime Text users only, I guess. You can find out how your particular text editor does that, but you can always just cut and paste if it doesn't have that. Okay, so we have notifications now, and there it is, so notifications. Now let's add that badge so that we can see it when it happens. And let me change this link itself to notifications, like so. All right, goody. Now let's go to the badge. So the badge is inside this button right here, and there's the name right there, which is inbox. So this particular part is the interesting one. So we're just going to copy the particular span here, and then we can, let's just move this a little bit like so, and I'm going to indent that. So within the A tag, I'm going to put this span over here, and let me use my tab key to move it around like so. All right. So let's see how well that works. And apparently it doesn't work, which is very weird. That's notifications, blah, blah, blah. What's going on here? Unread messages, visually hidden. Okay. Position absolute, top 0, start 100. This looks quite okay, I think. Let me add some text here just to make sure we are changing the right thing, right? Sometimes it's difficult to see, and it seems we are. All right, so what is going on then? Oh, it went all the way up there. So if you look up in the corner there, there's the text. So the problem here is that the position absolute is being positioned relative to the entire page. So we must tell it that this A tag should be the relative position that we are looking at here. So if I go back to the badge here, I should probably see position relative here, and there it is. So let's just copy that inside the main button, right? So this is the A tag, and within its classes we should add position relative, so that the absolute position here is being positioned relative to this and not the whole document. So if I go back, instead of having the 99 on the corner there, it should be on the corner of the relative item. So let's refresh, and there it is. As you can see now, we have a plus 99 at the top there, and top says 0. Now if you want, you can change the top here by just putting a style directly. If you don't like that, you can just say top and then give it a value. So here, top, instead of 0, let's try maybe minus 20 pixels. Let's see what that gives us. Okay, so that doesn't seem to work. Let me remove this top here. Maybe that one is being prioritized for some reason. Okay, so there we go, and it went all the way. I don't know where it went, but let's put a 0 pixel there to start with. Maybe that way we can see it. Okay, there it is. So top 0, that's right. What about top 10%, 10 pixels, like that, and then it will come down. So you can actually arrange this as you wish by using the top and the left to figure out how much of it to move around. So yeah, something like this is fine with me. So these are notifications. Maybe we have one notification there. It's gonna look like that, and then you can click on that page. So the page does not exist, so let's create that page here. So notifications page. So all we have to do is make a controller and then make a view page. So I'm going to go to controllers, new file. Now here I'm just going to copy what's on the home page, like so. I'll copy all of that, create a new controller, and let's paste that and change this to, let's say, notifications. That's the class. It should be notification as a single. So notification.php. Actually, wait, it's notifications. So my bad. Let's rename that. Let's put that S there. There we go. Okay, great. So here, all we need to do is display some notifications. So I'm going to leave what's already here for now, but let's change where this is sending us here. So that's the view file. So down here, let's do views, new file. All right. So here, all I want is to just show some notifications. That's it. So what I would do is, let me add a section like this. Let me save this though. It's gonna be notifications.view.php. Right, there we go, and save. Okay, so I want to add a section here like so, just so it's something I can use. And then just say notifications. Maybe let's use an H5 tag and just say notifications like that, and then we can check that out. So if I click on that, there we go. Okay, so I forgot a couple of things. And if I go to the home page, for example, there's the header and the footer, so I need those two things. So let me do this. Let me put the header there, and then footer. Where is the footer? There we go, like so. And let me put that footer over here like that. Okay, so at least we have the header and the footer, so it looks something like this. All right, so what else? The section here, we can add a few classes, bootstrap classes. So first of all, MX Auto, so that left and right sides given the same space. And then let's do, I want it to only fill 8 of the 12 columns in Bootstrap. And if I refresh, so things come to the center there. Let me add a bit of padding around of 4, and I can add a shadow. That way we can see the box itself. Okay, so there it is. Okay, great. Now we need some notifications. So currently there are none. So we're going to put a div and say no notifications found, exclamation point. Let's add some classes. Let's put this as an alert, and we have to put alert danger and text center like so. Okay, that way it shows us no notifications found. Okay, but only if they are not found, really. So we're going to look for rows here. We're going to say if not empty, something like that, rows. So if we're going to have some rows in there, then we will do something. However, we're going to put an else statement there. Let me duplicate that and put one end if statement like so. Then move it one step down like that. So in this case, if rows is not empty, then we're going to show the notifications in here. Otherwise, show that. Okay. And I want a loop in here. We're going to loop through the rows. So this one will change to end for each, because I'm going to put a for each statement here to go through the loop. So for each, and then here we have rows as row like that. Okay, so we're looping through this and putting each row in this variable over here. So now I can put a div over here, and let's put some classes. First of all, let's just add some padding around this, and let's call it a card, and maybe we can put a shadow as well. What kind of shadow spelling is that? And then margin as well, all around. Maybe let's put 2, yeah, something like this. Okay, so here then I'll say this is a notification. Now we're not going to see any of this because there are none. Oh wait, look at that. Wait, did I create an infinite loop here? I sure hope not. This is a notification, this is a notification. Okay, so we are seeing that. So this is how notifications will look like, which is great. Oh, the reason actually is if we go to the controller, it's actually reading from photos, right? So it's just reading photos there. Okay, so with notifications here, we want a notifications class, but the thing is, the way we will be reading notifications will be a little bit complex, so it doesn't really even help to have a model, or does it? Okay, let's just give it a model. Why not? You know, sometimes you never know, you might need this. So I'm going to go to one of these models, let's say photo, and just copy everything, create a new model in there and save. And then I will change the word photo to notification as a singular. And then that's notification.php as the notifications class. The table name will be notifications, like that. And then let's look at the folders we're going to have. All right, we won't be needing any of these rules at all. So we could just remove these guys, just empty this. All right, okay, so let's leave that be, but we need to know the wait a minute, the folders or the columns we're going to have here. So what I need us to do is create a migration file. So let's go to our command prompt, and we need to navigate to that folder. So that folder is inside XAMPP for me, that is. So I'm going to say cd change directory to C and say XAMPP. Let's see. Okay, that worked. Let's go to htdocs. Mine is inside tutorials/photos. Okay, so in that directory, this is where we have our app and our public and our Thunder PHP, which is great. So I'm just going to call that one PHP Thunder. And I just want to see some help because I've completely forgotten how to actually create stuff in here. So generators, yes, let's make a migration. Generates a new migration file. Okay, great. So let's go PHP Thunder make migration, and what we're gonna call it is notifications. Okay, so the migration file was created. This is great. So there it is. So notifications class, that's great. So of course we're gonna need this integer here. I don't know why I did this actually. This is not a thing. Let's actually put unsigned here so that it's only positive numbers. Signed numbers are those that have a minus sign, and we're not gonna need that. Okay, so date created, that's important. Updated is not important because we're not going to be updating any notifications at all, and that's the table. We're not going to be inserting any data, so I'm just gonna remove this part. All right, so now we need to add a few keys and stuff, but let's add columns first. So let's think about it. When we are adding notifications, we need a few things. First of all, we need to know who did the notifying, who did the action. So that's the user ID. So I'm going to call that one user ID unsigned. We just need to remove the auto increment. Maybe let's put a default value of 0. All right, so this is going to be our base. So we need to know who is being notified, who is doing the notification. And then we need to know the owner. Actually, we need to know the ID of the item of the photo that was that we are being notified about. Now, sometimes these may not always be photos, so we can't use photo ID. Instead, we're going to say item ID, the item of the thing that is being reacted to. So the reactor, the reaction item, and who is the owner of this one. So we're just going to say owner ID, the owner of the item that's being reacted to. That's there, owner ID, item ID, and the user that's actually reacting to that item. And then finally, we need to know the type of notification here. Is this a like? Is this a comment? Etc. So here we're going to use varchar of maybe up to 30 or something, maybe even 20. We can easily put small forms of text to describe what's happening. Is this a like? Is it a comment? Etc. So we don't need this. We can leave this as no, like that. That's fine. Okay, and the date created. This is all good. So maybe we've left something out. We can always add it later. That's fine. So the type of notification, the owner is important because we need to be able to notify them that somebody reacted to your thing. And then the item ID, we need to be able to tell them what item was reacted to and who actually reacted. Yeah? Great. Right, so with that info in mind, we should have our notifications table intact. Now we need a few keys here, so we're just going to remove the primary here and just say add key. First, the user ID, duplicate. In fact, all these IDs just need a let's see, even owner ID here. Then finally, even type requires that. Does it? Nah, actually it does not require that. Okay, just maybe the date created, but maybe not even that. Now we also need to be able to know if this notification was actually seen by the user. So let's say seen. Wait a minute. Yeah, notification seen by owner. So let's do this. Seen is just true or false. So let's use tiny int over here with a length of 1, and let's put a default value of 0, which is not seen. 1 is seen. And let's do this. We can use this one for, there we go. Alrighty then. Alright, this I think this will do it. If there's something missing, we can always add it later. Alright, so let's run our migration file in the command prompt. So I'm going to copy this created thingy and just say PHP Thunder, and migrate is the right thing to do. Let's put the file name there, and there we go. So it says successfully created. So let's go to our database, and we see there's a notifications table there, which is nice. So now we need a way, we can close this for now, and of course I need to copy these guys over here, except the ID, and put them here on the allowed columns. So paste. I'm gonna do this. Let's put a comma on these guys, move one step, do that. Okay, there we go. Let me move this closer. Okay, goody. So our model is complete. Now all we need to do is read notifications. Alright, so let's add a notification, at least one. So we are going to go to our app, and inside functions here, inside the core, though you see it's not always a good idea to alter things in the core. So maybe what you would do sometimes, if you want to add new functionality to the functions page, is just to add an extra excuse me, an extra functions file somewhere, and then just import it in the main functions.php file. That's better practice, because the day you update your core framework, you can easily just put the include in there to include the functions. Otherwise your own functions will be deleted with the update sometimes. But if you're not planning to be doing updates on this, so this will be fine. So let's do a function add notification. Okay, so here we're just going to add expect something called data, like that. That will be an array, right? So with this one, I'm gonna do db is equal to new database. Now let me just confirm I can actually do what I'm trying to do. This is a trait, so I can't actually do that. So that's disqualified. So what to do here? Actually, why am I doing this when we actually already have let's see, a notification model inside the model namespace. So what to do is in functions, we're going to say model notification, like that. Okay, I'm just going to call it notif, something like that. All right. That way we can then do notif and then insert and just put that data in there like so. Okay. Yep, I think that about does it. Okay, so looking at this now, it looks too simplistic to even add a function to it. So maybe, but it's better to be universal like this. So we're going to leave it like that. In case in future we want to change how notifications are added, we can come back to this function. But for now, I think this should do. Okay, so we just have to take care of what kind of data we are adding there. And that's all. Now, to reduce the data we are adding, we could add some of the data here. Because, for example, date created, that one is a must. So we're going to say data, and we're going to say date created. And let's just put a current date right now. YMDHIS, like so. All right, so date created, there we go. That's great. I think that's the only thing we can safely add in here without, we can add blindly. All right, so in order to add a notification now, we have to figure out how that should be done. So let's go to one of the photos and click anywhere here. So when I click on one of these, I see a 1 there. So that's a reaction right there. So let's start with the likes. So where are the likes happening? They're happening inside our Ajax controller, which is this one. Okay. So if we come down here, this one is if post data type is like, we find ourselves here. This is the liking part. So we should only notify somebody if they are liking and not disliking. So the insert, we are definitely sure that they are liking, so we can put a notification here. All right. So add notification, and we're going to use the add notification function. And then we need some data in here. Now, just to make sure we're not using data anywhere else, or we can just say AAR like that. Yep. As the array we're adding. So if I put the array like this, I could put type, for example, as a like so, because that one I know. And then we'll put it as part of this. Okay. Then there are a few things we need to look at. So the user ID, who is actually doing the liking, and that is found in here. So it's also there in post data user ID. So if I copy this, it means I can add it here. Let's put that there. Okay, let's change that to user ID. All right, so we know who is liking, we know who is doing the action, what type of action it is. Now we need to know the owner of actually the item, the ID of the item that we are dealing with here. So user ID, post ID. So post ID is also part of this, which is post ID. Let's grab that. And instead of post ID, this one is known as item ID, but we know it's a post, so we're just gonna put that post ID. So in the notifications table, it's item ID. So the only thing remaining now is the owner ID. So owner ID be equal to, so that's where the question mark is, right? Great. All right. So the owner ID. Okay, so I don't think we will find that information anywhere here. Now, owner ID here, we'll have to read it from the table. So if we're coming here, post data, there's post data, post ID there. So we can just use that to read. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say item row, that's what I'll call it, is equal to. Now I can use any of the models here. Oopsie. I can use any of the models here to, oh, what am I typing? Like. So I'll use the like model. Instead of using the first or any of those, I'm going to use the query or the get row function like that to get a single row from this query. So I'm going to say select. Really what I want is just the user ID from there. That's all, right? Yeah, that's all I want. The user ID from the post. So let's go to the table here so that I can explain this a little bit better. So I know that inside photos, this is where we save the photos that we uploaded. But then there's this user ID column which shows you which user actually posted this. So this is the part that we want. We want to know who posted this. So we'll add a notification. Okay. So I'm going to say like get row, then we say select user ID from here, from the photos table. All right. So from photos, where the ID is equal to ID limit 1. Now we need to tell it what the ID is. So ID is equal to the post ID, which is in here. All right. So we can only add a notification if we did indeed find that item. So I'm going to say item row. If item row is a thing, then let's add our notification right there. All right, so there we go. We'll add a notification. And so we can grab from the item row. Let's grab this one. We use arrows because those are objects. So here we're getting the user ID from there. Okay, that's the owner. Now we shouldn't add a notification if the user ID and owner ID are the same, because we don't want you to be informed of your own activity on your own item. So that's not very productive. So we're going to say if, so let's just ask this question. If the owner not equal to user ID, okay, then we can do this. So I'm just gonna leave that there like so. Okay, so once we generate a new like, this is what's gonna happen. That's how we add notification. Now, this is for when we are adding a new record entirely. But what about when we like and it turns out disabled is going to be equal to 0? So if row disabled is 1, disabled is equal to 0, which means we actually, when we are updating, we could be changing the disabled function here. So like blah blah blah. So we just need to check here. If this is 1, then we ignore. If it's 0, it means we are liking, then we do something. So same thing here. What we're gonna do is copy this entire thing and put it just here after the update, like so. So add notification one more time, and all this looks fine, but we should say if item row and disabled here is equal to 0. So only when it's 0 do we do this. We add a notification of a like. So notifications is no edit or delete, we're just inserting all the time. So let's see what happens in this case. So I'm gonna go here and I will refresh. Let me click on this to see. This was done by the admin, and I'm admin, so I'm not going to have an impact on this one. So let's find something else that was done by Mary, for example, and then we're gonna like that. Oh wait, we didn't put a like button here. Okay, that's fine, but I know it's this one, so I'm gonna click on that and click again. So this time it should actually show something. So if I go to my photos table, go to notifications, I should find a record, and I do find a record right there. Okay, so that's good, which means I have one notification for Mary. This notification should not look for me, but look for Mary. This is the owner ID right there. So if we go to functions, we can add another function here which says get notification. So add, and then we'll say get notifications. Here we don't supply anything, we just want to know the current user. So here I'm gonna do session is equal to new core session, like that. So let's grab that session because I want to know who the current user is. So I'm gonna say user ID is equal to session user ID, like that. All right, so the thing we're supposed to return here is the number. So I'm going to say return 0 just in case. Okay, in case we don't find anything, we return 0. But then we can also do notif and say, actually let's call this one rows is equal to, and let's do a where clause here. So we're trying to find where the owner ID is equal to the user ID here, and also seen should be equal to 0. So if not seen, etc, etc. And then here we're gonna say if rows is a thing, then let's return the count of those rows. All right, that's great. So get notifications will give us a number that we need. So if I go to header here, where is the header view, where we've added this number right here, this number will be equated to get underscore notification. Notifications. So if I go back and refresh, I should get a 0 there. That's nice. Now if it's a 0, let's do this instead. Let's just say num is equal to get notifications. So I'm gonna do this somewhere here, right? And then I can therefore put an if statement and say if num, because for as long as it's greater than 0, that will be true. And so I'll put PHP and say and if, like that. Okay. What's happening? Okay. Regardless, then here we're going to echo num itself. So I'm going to copy that and paste it here. I don't need this visually hidden thing there. Maybe you are in need of it, but I don't need it. So we're gonna put that number there. So now if I refresh, because it's 0, it's gonna be empty. Oh, but we are seeing a 0 there. Oh, that's because this is echo. So I'm gonna do PHP like that. Okay. So let's refresh, and there it is. So we've liked one of Mary's stuff. Let's like one more thing by Mary, which is this other one as well. So I'm gonna click on that, click again. So if I check in here, I should find 2 of these things, which is great. So now let's log in as Mary and see if we see any notifications whatsoever. So I'm gonna go log out. Let me log in as Mary. Password. And as you can see, I have 2 notifications over there, which is awesomeness. So if I click on that, I should see 2 notifications, but I don't. So all I need to do now is get those notifications. Where is notifications? Is right there. So what we did in here is what we want to do here as well. So I'm going to copy this, get notification functions, and go to the notifications page here, and I'm just gonna what to do here, what to do, data, blah blah blah, image, comment, like. I don't need any of this. All right. So data rows should be the one here. All right, and let me remove this. We have that. We don't need any of this or that or this, actually. Okay, now the thing is, this is all good. It can work out. If I try to read the rows from there, it will probably give me 2 items here. And as you can see, there it is. Now, let's look at the data that we are getting here from the notifications table. If you remember very well, that data has no details, just has IDs and stuff. So as you can see, there's one here which has a user ID, this, that, that. Now, the thing is, the thing I want really is to know the name of this user, to know I think the item ID is fine there. The owner ID, we don't need that. Oh, we do need that. Type is equal to like. Okay, so the only really useful information here is the date, the type, and the okay, let's ignore this for a sec. So I'm gonna do this. Let's ignore that for a second, and let me go back to notification here. Instead of just this is a notification, on here I want to have a, let me put some PHP tags over here, okay, because I want to generate a sentence, right? First of all, I need to know who did the notification, because it's supposed to read something like so and so did this and that on your post, for example. So let me put a switch statement here. Now the switch statement is going to determine, let's see, if the type, we're going to grab type from the row. So this one is row type, like that. So in our case, row type is like. So I'm just going to say if row type is like, then what I'm going to echo here is, we're going to say, I'll leave some spaces, liked your post, something like that. Now, since these are images, yeah, actually it's a post, whether they are images or not. Okay, so if we just do that by itself and refresh, you see liked your post, liked your post. Okay, we're getting somewhere, but we need to know who did the liking, or whom. So in that case, we just need the owner, oh, the one who did the action. So here I'm just going to echo that and say row user ID, like that. So that's the user ID. Okay, so let's refresh. So 1 liked your post. Okay, simple and straightforward. But I need to be able to click. It is true that that's user number 1 that liked our post. So if I click on this, it should take me to the post that was liked. So that's where the item ID comes in. So this one is a div, right? So what we could do is change that to an A tag instead, and then put an href here. So the href will contain a link. So let's do root like that, slash photo slash row item ID. So the reason that should work is because when we click on a photo, if I go to photos here and I want to click here, you see that the link to that is photo slash the ID of the photo. So if I get back here, this is now a link, and if I click, it takes me to the actual photo that is being talked about. Okay, so great, so far so good. Now, sometimes you may want a preview of the photo that they liked, or maybe not, because depending on your type of system, in that case, you may need to read the raw of the photo. Now, in this case, I just want to get the name, the first name and the last name of the user here. One way to do that would be, let's see here. Yeah, one way to do that is just read those rows if they exist, right? So here, instead of user ID, we're going to call that row user. So we're going to call it user row. Okay, then let's do this. We expect, let's see here. I'm going to go to the users table. I want to see what is saved. So just the username. Okay. Right, so it's just the username, right? Okay, let's keep things simple. So username, like that. That's great. So row username liked your post. Now it's possible this may not exist, so let's put those 2 question marks and put unknown in case the user is unknown. Like in this case, we haven't given it that row, so it's going to say unknown liked your post. Okay, and then also we can put an image at the end here, a preview of sorts. So I'm just going to do, actually let's just do image source here. So let's use the get image function. And inside here we're going to do row. I'm going to call this one item row, and then in there I want, let's see, we know the item is an image, so let's go to photos here and see how the path is saved. It's saved inside the image column. So that's that. Now if this does not exist, we just put an empty string there, like so. And then I'm going to add some classes. The first one I'll add is img thumbnail, and then I'll add some styles because I want to keep the width and the height to a limit. So I'm going to say width 100 pixels and height, of course, 100 pixels. Wait, do we have a cropper in here? Yes, we do, I think. You can use that. Object fit cover. All right, so let's see how this looks right now. So there's an empty image. Why do I have that over here? Okay, there we go, like that. Okay, so first of all, the image is too big. So let's reduce this to 80%. In fact, maybe 70%. Okay. Maybe 60. Okay. And then I wanted to go to the other side of things. So what do I do? Maybe I can do a float here. Let's see how that looks. Doesn't seem to work. Okay, what I'll do instead is I'm gonna put a span over here and then close the span here. The reason I'm doing this is I want two parts of this, and then in here I'm gonna say dflex for display flex, and then we say justify content between. Okay, that way it will leave the space in between the items, push each item to the left and to the right. It doesn't seem to be working at all. So what's happening? Okay, display flex, blah blah blah. What's going on? What's going on? Okay, maybe I should put a div around here. And also change the span to a div. Yeah, that seems to have worked, but we need to align items as well. I don't know if Bootstrap has this. I'm just gonna try if that class actually works. Ah, right. Align item center. This is weird. This is weird indeed. You know what? That's why sometimes I just trust putting actual classes, right? Actual styles, sorry. So let's move to that, shall we? Let's put actual styles, like the old school way. Okay, so I'm gonna do display flex, first of all. Okay, already that works. And then I'm gonna say align items center, like that, to center them in the top and bottom section. Okay, so that's weird. I don't know what's going on with this. Let me do flex direction should be row, not column, because it seems this is what's happening here. Okay, great, great. And then I'm gonna do justify content space between. Okay, something like so. Very good. Okay, so this is all I've been trying to do. Yeah. And what else? Anyway, you can adjust this as you wish. So now when I click, it actually takes me there still to the right place. But let's look at the name here. How do we get that name? So we just need to supply a user row and an item row there. So now we're doing this to make sure that even without those it still works. It kind of looks like a notification, but let's add those things there. So here we'll put an if statement and say if data rows, which means if we found some rows there, then what we want to do is loop through each row and add some extra content. So I'm going to do for each. Now there are ways to do this in a different way. For example, we can just run a query that actually queries those things from start, but that will complicate things a little bit. I'm trying to keep things simple. We can do that in more advanced tutorials, but let's just do it the old-fashioned, simpler way. So I'm going to loop through the rows here. Each one is a row, and then for each row that I loop through, I'm going to grab the user ID and then read from the database to get the actual row of that item. So we're just going to use notif here, class, even though we are reading users and the like, it doesn't really matter. So here I'm going to say, let's just say check. We're going to call it check because we are checking to see if that exists. And then we'll say get row like that. Okay. From this, we'll run a query and say select all from. Now this one is from users. Okay. Check user. That's what we're going to call it. From users where the ID is equal to that ID limit 1. So let's supply the ID here, and that ID will be equal to, so that's going to come from this row here, and in that row there will be a column called user. Actually, we're looking for the owner. No. Actually, the user ID, the person that did the action. And with that in mind, I'm going to duplicate this and change the word user to photo. So check photos, select all from photos where the ID is equal to ID. Now instead of user ID here, this will be the item ID. Now once we have those things, we're going to add them to the data rows, this one. So here I'm going to do, and let's put that key, because that's the particular item, key user row is equal to check user, like that. So I'm going to duplicate this. All I need to change is the user to photo, and we are home and dry. Very cool. So if I now refresh, you see admin liked your post, and wait, what's happening with images? Oh, some of these don't have, do they? Photos, comments, photos. Wait, what's happening? Oh, we're getting the image. Okay, so the first image only there. That's great. ID, blah, blah, blah. So why are these empty though? Because we do have an image on the first one here. So we should be able to see that. So a way to figure things out is just to try and see if there is a row there. Oh, I named it photo row. That's my bad. It should be item row, because that's what I'm looking for on the other side. So let's refresh, and there we go. Okay, so at least now you're seeing notifications here, there, which is cool. And you can add pagination, of course, but we just limit it to 10 notifications or so. And we want to see the ones that are seen and the ones that are unseen as well. So in order to do that, we can paint them as required. So the div itself, where is this? There's a div in here. Okay, this one, we want to add a background color. So in the classes here, we can add a BG. And let's just do this. Let's add some PHP tags over there. And we're just going to say color is equal to, and we'll leave it at white. And then in here we're gonna put background color and use the color variable like that. Okay, so if I refresh, we don't really see a difference. But now if so color is equal to, we're going to check in here if this is seen or not. So I'm going to say if row seen, which means it's seen, we'll leave it at white. Otherwise we'll put a full colon here, and we can put some actual colors here, maybe CCC, like that. All right. Okay, so this one is not seen, that's why it's like this. Now we can change this color. Let me just inspect that so that it shows me the actual background color. Then I can adjust it to something more reddish, like that, so that you can tell this is an unseen notification. So let me change that to that. Now, of course, you can design these notifications in any way that you want to suit your needs. This is by no way the only way to do it, as long as the information is gotten right. So once I click on this thing, right, and it takes me here, I should know that I have seen this, right? So how do I do that? Well, when we click on this, it takes us directly to this. But what we can do is put an extra bit of information so that when we load that file, we can we can save something in the notifications here. So what we're going to do is on the link itself here, let's see, at the end here, I'm going to put a question mark, a query string, so that I put a query string on this, and I'm just going to say seen is equal to 1. Simple and straightforward, right? So refresh. So now if I click, seen is going to be equal to 1 there, which is good. Now we can grab that information to actually do the seen thing here. So seen is equal to 1. So we know. Now we need to know actually the notification ID so that we can target it. So here seen is equal to 1, and we're going to say notif is equal to, and then let's put the actual notification ID on there, like so. So row ID, like that. Okay, so refresh, and now if I click, you see 2 pieces of information we can use there very well. So what I would do now is on that very page, which is the photo page in the controller. Where is the controller here? That's the single photo page, because when you're there, we know you've seen the notification. So at this point here, register notification as seen. Okay, so what we're going to do here is just say notif is equal to new model notification. Okay, so we're going to say if, right, not empty, I'm looking for the get variable of seen. Let me duplicate this, and not empty notif, then we're in business. So if those guys are not empty, means we have something. So now we don't really care the value of seen, because as long as it's there, we know somebody has seen this. What we really care about is this value here, the ID. So here we're just going to say notif ID is equal to, let's grab that item there, but I want to convert that to an integer. Okay, so then after, what we can do is just say now notif update. Okay, so we want to update that, and we are using the notif ID. And what data do we want to update? The scene. We're going to set that to a 1, like so. All right, this is great. So now if I refresh this and then I click on this notification, now it's seen, right? And as you can see, it has changed to a 1 now. So if I come back here, you will see that notification is gone. If I click on this, the notifications are gone there as well. So if I go back to notifications page, no notifications found. But this is not right, because we need to see even the ones that we've already seen. So if I go back to the notifications.php controller, I want to change what I'm looking for here. Scene doesn't matter in this case, just the user ID is enough. Let me remove that and let's refresh. So they just look white now, but they're okay. So let me try and go to photos and like a photo of one of my admin, for example. So back there, I don't know why I didn't put a like thingy there. So there we go. I have liked, and that's great. So now if I log out and log in as admin, actually this is just email@email.com and then a password there, like so. You see that now this one also has 2 notifications, and Mary liked your photo, this one and that one. So if I click on this one, I see, oh, okay, Mary liked this. That's great. If I go back, you see it shows me this one is white. This one has not been seen. And if I click on that and go back, now I have seen both. So that's how notifications happen. Now you may be wondering, how do we do it for comments? It's exactly the same process. So let's do the comments thingy and see how those notifications will reflect on a comment instead. So let's go to one of these that have Mary. We know this one is done by Mary. So if I add a comment here, it should be able to show me. So let's add the notifications part here as well. So if I go to the ajax.php, this is where most of the action happens, and it's the same with, let's see, no, just the like, I think. So what I'm going to grab is this part here, add notification, right? I'm going to grab this part, copy that. But what I want to do is go to a single photos page, single photo, because I know this is where the adding of a comment happens. So it's right here, right? Let's see, comment ID. What's going on here? Okay, so here we can update. So we shouldn't worry about updating here. The only time we should care is when we are inserting a comment. So right after the comment insert, let's paste our code. So there we go. We add a notification. So select ID from photos, where now instead of photos here, it's comments, of course, where ID blah blah blah. This is fine. Post ID. Owner ID, user ID, blah blah blah. Now instead of like here, we do comment. Okay, and actually the rest is left exactly the same. Okay, that's great. Now we go back to the view for notifications here. Notifications view. Okay, and we can just duplicate this one. This one is for when the type is a comment. So we say commented on your post. Very cool. So here I want to comment on Mary's post. Hey, this is admin commenting on your post. Right? And let's comment. Okay, so undefined variables like online 53. Okay, so that was my bad. If I go back to photo.php, of course, it doesn't know what like is. We're supposed to use this comment. Let's see here. Boom. Okay, this is all the problem. So I'm going to redo this. There we go. So we have two comments like this is second comment, that text. Hey, this is admin commenting on your post. Okay, good. And if I click on this, let's see, edit. Oh, okay, it goes right there. Okay. Yeah, let's see what happens. If we go to the notifications view, so we have commented, that's fine. Raw image, that's fine. Now, here where we do the commenting here, commented on your post, right? Let's go. Let's log in as Mary now, because we need to see that notification. Very clumsy. Okay, password. And do we have a notification? Apparently not. So back to our table and let's go to notifications. Oof. Okay. So we don't have that notification. It didn't happen. Oh, okay. So back to being admin. So let's do that again. Let me come here. Let me comment on Mary's item. That's admin as well. That's admin as well. Oh, okay. Where is Mary's stuff? This should be Mary. Okay, there it is. Okay. So why didn't this happen? So back to photo.php controller and item role. Let's see, get row. Select user ID from comments where ID is equal to ID, and that ID is post ID. Okay, so that's not right. So maybe post ID is not a thing here. Let me see what data is being saved. So there's post ID there. That's great. And that's actually correct. So post ID, post data ID. Yeah. Select user ID from comments where. Okay, so that's the problem. It's supposed to be from posts. All right. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. So that was the only problem there. So hello there once again. This is admin commenting on your post. And wait, is it supposed to be posts? No, photos. Alright, it's supposed to be photos. Sorry, we don't have posts here. So let me save that. Let's see if we have a new thing here when we browse. And there it is. That's nice. Now, let's log in as admin. I don't actually have to log out. I can just go directly to the login page if I want. And then put Mary. Password. So I have one notification. Click on that and it says admin commented on your post. On this one. Now I want to see a brief view of the comment. So if I go to notifications, remember that we have the actual item. What's this? The actual row of the item. So if I go to photos, let's see which column contains that kind of data. And yeah, no, there's. Wait a minute. Yeah. that's going to prove a little bit difficult. Maybe the title of the image will help, actually. So what I'm going to do is put image title. So I'll do this, boom, 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 dot, and then I'm going to say, I'm going to grab this and paste it there. So instead of image, we're going to put title. And let's do an escape here. That's exactly what we should do here as well. All right, so the title there, I'm gonna put a single bracket and do the same at the end there, like that. Let's see the notification now. Okay, so some photo. Okay, at least that shows you some detail. Actually, what we'll do is, let me put a break tag over here. And then I will also put an I tag. Let me do the same thing at the end here. Just close those guys up. Close the I tag. Oh, we don't need to close the break tag. Okay. Yes. Close the I tag. So I want it on the next line in italics, like that, and probably in a smaller font. So let's close small there and open it here outside the I tag. Oops, like so. Refresh, and there we go. Okay, so that's looking a whole lot better. Yeah, very good. So this is how you make notification. So let's see, one notification left, right? That's great. Click, and now we have no notifications left. Okay, so this is how we can actually make notifications here. Hopefully I haven't forgotten something. Now the notifications are not deleted, they just disappear over time because only 10 will be shown at a time here, and that should be okay. But let's go to, yeah, I think just 10 will be enough there, and that's fine. Okay. All right, I think it's working fine. Unless it's very possible to forget something, you can remind me in the comments. So in the next video, we'll create an admin section so that the admin can see which users have signed up and who has posted what, and also be able to delete any posts that they don't like, etc, etc. All right, so I will see you in the next video.